Hey everybody, just getting some things organized. Oh, this has been a night, let me tell you. I see Mickey was here first. He said, "Oh no, am I first one to see this disaster? Hope you're okay." I'm okay. It's been it's been interesting. Um FKI stepped on Legos. Oh. I stepped on Legos. I get it. Flooded my living room the other day, part of fish keeping. So I'm pretty sure I did a live stream solely about flooding my fish room. It's not the first time. This is not the second time. This is probably like the 8th time I've done this. This is probably the worst of any time I've ever flooded my fish room. And here in a minute, I'll take you guys out to the fish room and show you exactly what happened. But it was probably 45 to 50 gallons of water. And I flooded the fish room to where the fish room was full of water. There was so much water that actually went through my wall into the dining room and into the kitchen. I completely forgot I was filling a bucket, and when I was on the Ohio Fish Rescue live stream, I went out to get my coffee, and I saw the water in the kitchen. And that's where it clicked, and I was like cussing and running to turn off the water. At that point, there was no water left in my water system, so it was done. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and walk out there now, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about some other things. Get the phone off the tripod. All right. So flip you guys around. So I got this fan that I mentioned before. I'm going to turn it off just because it's noisy. But I got it cleaned up pretty well out here. There's still some spots, here and there. Dehumidifiers running. I'm sure it's going full bore into the drain. But like I said in the previous live stream that I talked about flooding my fish room, this is not a new thing for me. This is one of the two 55-gallon barrels that I store water in. It basically allows me to age and acclimate the water temperature to the room, so that way all the tanks are the same temperature. When I built this rack system, this was my first rack I ever made. I made it so, let me see where I'm looking at. Right here. I put a tap in here that drains to the floor. What that allows me to do is put a 5-gallon bucket, and it fits just right under there, and I can basically drain water straight into a 5-gallon bucket. That allows me, before I got this big hose, I carry 5 gallons worth of water at a time into the house to do water changes. There's Havana checking out. Well, anyway, so tonight I had a fresh full tank. I needed to change out water in the cold water quarry tank in the house. So I needed to fill up a bucket and take the bucket in the house and let it acclimate to the house temperature. Well, I flipped it on, it started filling, started my coffee. I got the notification that Ohio Fish Rescue was going live, and I walked into my office and completely forgot I was draining a bucket. So that tank, that sucker's empty. It was all on the floor. Now this might be familiar if you saw the live stream where I talked about this, but the first thing I do, I'm pretty good at flooding my room now on how to clean it up. First thing I do is I open the garage. That's the garage door. I open that because there's a slight slope to it, and that way most of the water will go out into the garage. I'd rather have the water out there than in here. That's the first thing that happened. The next thing is I grabbed a shop vac, sucked up as much water as I could, and then I grabbed this sucker. This is like a hard... Oh, you want to go outside? All right, go outside, both of y'all's. Grab this. This is a hardwood floor cleaner. It's got a squeegee, and it really cleans up the floor. And that's why it's so dry right here. But, yeah. So, and that's not the worst part that happened. Well, that might be the worst part. The second worst part is that coffee I was telling you I was making. Got like a little, it's a coffee cup or coffee pot maker and a K-cup. Make a K-cup. Got a jar of sugar. I put a little sugar in it. Well, I was so frustrated that I just flooded the fish room. I come over to put some sugar into my cup. And usually I just kind of shake it side by side. Well, there must have been a clump. Let's see if you guys see how much sugar there is? This thing was half full. I dumped half of this thing into my coffee cup. It just went boom. Dumped out like half a thing of sugar into it. And this coffee cup, it's the one, my SEO Quax one, it was full of coffee. So I tried to fit a lot of sugar into a cup that was already full. So then coffee splashed everywhere. Splashed onto my shirt, onto my shorts, all over the floor. Sugar went everywhere. Sugar is a pain in the butt to clean up. I'm sure, as you guys know. So, this is how this night's going. Now, in the OFR live stream, John asked if I had an alarm go off. In my previous streams, I mentioned that I do have a water alarm in there, and it's tied into my security system. Well, it did go off. My alarm system is not armed, so it doesn't trigger the alarm system. But what it does is it alerts my phone. They'll call me. The alarm, I have monitoring. It's like somebody breaks in my house, they call the police, or if there's a fire, they call the fire department. The alarm system company called me, and they also automatically call my emergency contact, who's my sister. My sister calls me to let me know that I have a water leak. The problem is that in the middle of like getting distracted by making the coffee, I had set my phone down on the kitchen counter, made the coffee, came in here to watch the OFR live stream. So as I was getting phone calls, text messages, because my sister also, she called me and texted me, and my phone beeping that there was a water leak, I never heard it. So the whole time I was being alerted about this, I never heard it. I was in here talking on the live stream to everybody, and yeah, so people, I know somebody, I don't remember if it was John or somebody else mentioned about having like float valves or safety systems. That's, a float valve would be perfect for filling up the barrels, because that's usually why I flood. I usually go to fill up the barrel and I forget about it, and then it overfills, and that's when I flood the room. This being that I'm draining the barrel into a 5-gallon bucket, I mean, I guess you could try to rig it up somehow to have like a flexible tube with a float switch in the bucket. I don't know. Too much work for something that I normally don't mess up, but this will be corrected in the Fish Room 2.0 once I ever get out to the garage. If this ever happens again, it won't be an issue because it'll be in the garage, and the water will just go out of the garage. That's one reason I do want to move everything to the garage. The fish room's got waterproof flooring. That's not a big deal, but it did go through the wall into the kitchen, which is tile. Not a big deal, but I don't want the studs and stuff getting water. I don't want to say all the time, because this isn't really an all the time issue, but I'd rather just have it out in the garage, and that way if anything catastrophic happens, it's out in the garage. And I mentioned I want to do the plastic wall panels for the wall and ceiling, so moisture won't be an issue. And yeah, I just need to move everything out there. So back to my coffee. And this thing is like coated in sugar, like it's sticky. I'm upset about it. It was so sugary I couldn't drink it, so I had to like basically empty it out to about here. Then I made new coffee and like diluted the sugar down. And I feel like I was gonna say there was something else that happened while all this was going on. I had a guy with a BMW. I used to work for BMW. I worked for BMW for 10 years as a mechanic. I work on them on the side here and there. This year I haven't worked on them at all just because I've been so busy with the fish stuff. But this guy, he's from way out of town, and he said I'm like the only guy he trusts to work on his car, and he wanted me to just do an oil change on it and look at his like iPod system on it. And he decided not decided to show up. He was planning on coming tonight, and it just so happened that he showed up in the middle of all this. So that was the other little knife in the side during all this. Was I had to go outside and talk to him about his car, and I haven't seen him in months and months and months. So he was like trying to catch up, and it's been a mess. It's been a hot mess. Anyways, so that's the whole flooding situation. It's never fun, but lessons learned. I just got to try to pay more attention. And I don't even know if I tried this coffee yet. Yep, still like sugary as heck. Anyways, so something fish related, and I haven't done this in a while. If you guys saw my community posts earlier today, I put a plant order in. I haven't ordered plants in months and months and months and months and months. Same thing with fish. But Zen Ginger, one of my moderators, she placed a special order for some plants. And I do that if somebody wants a certain plant or a certain fish, I'm already like going to order something, I'll just order it with whatever I'm ordering, right? So like if you want like a certain plant, I can't order just one plant. There's a minimum order, and then also with like shipping, it's gotta all align to make sense for me to order it. But she's actually getting a lot of plants, and it was enough that I could just did an order just for her. But I went ahead and got some other things, and there's some plants on there that I haven't had yet. And I just figured I'd let you guys know what I got coming in. So I placed the order yesterday morning. The deadlines are Thursdays with this company to ship out the following week. I never got a confirmation, but usually I don't. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they got the order in on time, and I'll have it next week. I'll do an unboxing video because I haven't done one of those in a long time. But anyways, the dogs are barking. Let me go let the dogs in before I get into these plants. Taking you guys with me. Havana's barking. She likes to go outside for like 30 seconds and then sits there and barks until I let her in. Let me grab them. Come on. Alright. Back to the live stream, right? So, plants. I'm restocking on some stuff that I've sold out of and or getting low on. I'm seeing some comments. I'll get to the chat here in a second. I'm trying not to like kill you guys with all the shakiness. So I got some sword plants coming in. Amazon's have been selling fairly well. I actually had to pull one. There was 3 in here. TJ, who's in the I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but he's normally in the chat. Order some Amazons, and most of my plants are sold as like potted plants, or they're small. Well, my inventory was off because, stupid me, when I went to the Fish Club swap meet a few weekends ago, I took some swords and I forgot to change the inventory on the website. So he bought sword plants, and it turned out he only bought 2 of the regular swords, the Amazon swords. I only had 1 in stock, and he ordered 2. So I like to rectify a situation if I can in any way, whether that is, instead of just like canceling the item, it would be like, hey, like, I don't have this, like, I messed up. Is there a different plant you want to substitute? Well, I have swords. So I gave him one of the ginormous ones. So when you get a potted one, the plant might be this big. Those plants are, they're that big. They're huge. So I emailed him like, hey, just so you know, basically what I just told you guys, I messed up the inventory. I'm sending you one of my plants out of my display tank. Just want to let you know that because it's going to come in ginormous, and I don't want you to think the small one I'm gypping you on. The small one's what you paid for. You're getting a bonus and getting one of the big ones. So that's why there's only 2 in this right now. And I do want to rescape this tank. That's another reason I got some of these plants coming in. I'm completely done with this sand. It's got to come out, or I got to cap it. The box filters, you won't be able to see it. The box filters are filling up with sand. That's how much particulate floats through this tank. And I want to get rid of the box filters, aesthetic reasons, and do a nice scape, but I can't get rid of them until I get rid of the sand. So I have hundreds of pounds of like Carib Sea sand. So I think I'm going to go that route. I might do like a little bit of a mix of some Fluval Stratum, maybe some Eco Complete with some sand, or maybe gravel. I don't know yet, but this tank I want to redo. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with all the fish that are in it. So the rainbows I can put in like a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. I can take one of the box filters, so that way it's cycled and they can sit in a 5-gallon bucket while I rescape it, because it might take like an hour or 2 hours max, but let's say an hour, just to move stuff around. The plecos, I'm not sure. I probably need to pull them. I'm just trying not to stress everybody out, and it's kind of like, are they going to be more stressed if I pull them and put them in a bucket, or are they going to be more stressed if they hide in their caves while my hands are in there moving stuff around? I guess if I'm just moving some stuff around, it'd be better to leave them in there, but being that I really want to redo it all, it'll probably be best that I pull them out completely, but we'll see. But that's on the to-do list now, is to rescape this. I've been thinking about what fish to put in here, and I originally was thinking about, my original thought was to return the Parkinsoni rainbows back to their owner, who's Mike, and putting the Vienna guppies in here and letting them go crazy. But I also got some Odessa barbs out in the fish room that are looking like fire right now. So I thought about putting Odessa barbs in there with the rainbows, because that'd be a ton of color. The Parkinsoni rainbows, that orange is super awesome. And I think the red of the Odessa barbs, it would just be a lot of color. It would look super awesome with a lot of green plants. But we'll see. I mean, I guess I got to figure that out. And Havana's just all up in my stuff. So let's talk about the plants I got on order. Now, hopefully this is if they all come in. Supposedly they update this weekly, so if it's on their list, it's available. So they should be available, but I got more Amazon spores. I got red melons. I haven't had those before. I got some Madagascar lace plants, which is for Zen Ginger. And everything that she ordered, I ordered extras, because why not put them on the website? Here's one that I'm going to mispronounce this, because you guys probably know I'm terrible at pronouncing things. Is it Ulvasis? It's yeah, close. I don't know. Look at my comment or my community post and you'll know what I'm talking about. More banana plants. She wanted a ton of them, and I think I might have a few left, but not enough to cover her order. So I ordered a bunch more of those. Dwarf lilies, which are in my blue shrimp tank, super awesome. More moss balls. They've been selling pretty well lately. Tiger Lotus. I don't think I've ever had Tiger Lotus, which is the red variety. I don't think I've ever had one, so that'll be new. Red Reuben, Ocelot, and then Nubius I'm bringing back into stock. Barterii, Cophifolia, Fraseri, and then two new ones I haven't had before is the Congensis and Hostifolia. And then I'm bringing in Cryptlotia, which I already brought in, but I don't think they ever made it to the website. And I think I still have quite a few left. I took some to the swap meet and they sold out really quickly, so I'm bringing more in. So that's the Lutea, Parva, Wendeti Red, Microsword, and Dwarf Sagittaria. So that's what I'm bringing in. I'll do the unboxing, see how everything looks. I don't know if I've done a plant order since really this whole pandemic really took off. So I'm curious to see how everything looks. Hopefully everything comes in great, but we'll see. I'm guessing it'll be Wednesday is when I typically get plant orders in, is on Wednesday. So fingers crossed it'll come in. But I want to get in the chat and see what you guys are up to. And I hope you guys had a great week. It's Friday, start of the weekend. I got to work on that BMW this weekend. I was about to say this week, but this weekend, so tomorrow. I thought about trying to go up to OFR again, but I kind of forgot that BMW was coming, so I need to get that done. But yeah. IHSP said, big bummer. Yep. Nameless, it's the OFR's fault. It is. If they didn't start that live stream, and I'm always so excited to try to get in there on time and chat with everybody, I wouldn't have gotten distracted. I wouldn't have flooded my house. And this has been by far the worst flooding. Flooding 3 rooms that's my record right now. So luckily it didn't get to the carpet, so I guess I'm thankful for that. Danielle said, my building recently increased our water pressure. It took a few days and about 10 gallons on my carpet to get the timing down right. Yeah, so, and I've always said, if you've never had a big water accident, you don't realize how far each gallon of water goes. 1 gallon of water on the floor covers a lot of area. So 40 plus gallons of water, it's a hot mess. And I can only imagine people that have a 300-gallon tank, a 500-gallon tank that would blow a seam. The amount of water, that would be devastating. It would be, that much water. It would be horrible. And John said, when you sell the house, mention deep cleaning of the floors. Oh, yeah. John said at Daniel, high pressure and now your toilet is a water feature. Skipping through. Zen's here. Awesome. Thank you for posting the member link and also the website, 614fish.com. And I'll throw this out there. If you go to the website, if you're not already signed up as an email subscriber, I don't spam you guys. I actually haven't sent an email out in a while. But what I do is, once these plants are on the website and they're listed for sale, I email the subscriber list. You'll get an email from SC Aquatics, and it'll basically say, these plants are now available. If there's like a discount code, it'll be in there. But that basically lets people get first dibs on that stuff. And yeah, so sign up for email if you want. I don't sell your information. It's literally me typing an email and it sends it out to you guys. Hey, this is what's new. Hey, this is what's on sale. And I haven't done it in a while, so it's about time I got back into it. But thanks, Zen, for posting the website. John said the perfect storm. It really was. John said, with a float valve, you drill a hole in the floor as a drain, put a sump in there. This is done in flood areas. Japan uses it in giant form. So that's more work than I want to do, to be honest. It sounds like basically like you had a sump in your basement. And I don't have a basement. This is a ranch house, and it's on a slab. So it would be drilling straight into concrete, and that's too much work. Way too much work. Michael said, do you have a video explaining the barrel on top of your rack? I should have multiple videos. If you go onto the channel after the live stream, there should be a playlist, and I'll just pull it up for you. There should be a playlist about building the fish room, and it should have videos. And this is like when I first got into YouTube, so they're probably really terrible videos. But there should be multiple videos about that. That's what I call Rack System 1. That's what I dubbed it. That was really the start of me getting into YouTube, was building that rack and the plumbing and I did a plastic dip background, and that was a video. yeah. Sorry, it's loading. So, playlists should be under fish room build is the playlist name. Fish room expanding. Okay, so it's a 52-minute long video. I don't even remember. I don't know when this was done. Maybe it had to be a year, or at least a year ago, 2 years ago. There's a video. It kind of starts off with starting a fish room. Was like my first, like, hey, I want to build a fish room. And then the next video I would watch is fish room build is done. But yeah, that should show you. It's 52 minutes, so I don't even know what I talked about, to be honest. Who knows? But watch it. Let me know if you want to see anything more specific. I can always do another video or another live stream about that rack. But it's basically a gravity-fed rack. That's how I did all the wire changes. That was my first iteration of a rack system. Was the barrel holds the water, and then it's got 3/4-inch PVC piping that runs to each row of that rack, and then I just use air line as water lines, and with little valves, and that's how I do water top offs or changes. Those tanks are all drilled. They all drain into a 5-gallon bucket, and it's got a sump pump in it with a float, and then I have a line that plumbs to the ceiling and over into the drain for the washer and dryer. And so when that bucket fills up, the pump automatically kicks on and drains it. But it's not fully auto. I have to go in there and switch on a ball valve to start filling those tanks up. So the garage will be on solenoids to where I can either have it completely automated where, you know, once a day it changes a little bit of water, or I can manually change it with my phone. So that's the direction I'm going. Mickey says paper. Always fill your floors with paper. New rule for fish nerds. Towels work too. What do you want? You trying to photobomb my live stream right now? RB Animal says, I don't have any luck with plants still alive in tanks. So I've luckily have had decent luck with plants. There's only one plant that I just suck at, and that's Java Fern. And that's supposed to be like the beginner's plant. And it was a beginner's plant for me. That was the first plant I ever bought. I still have it. It's still alive. It's just not thriving. It's not growing very much at all. It's in my no-filter aquarium, so it should be getting plenty of nitrates. And that was when that's when I bought that 25-gallon flue bowl tank. So that's before I even like thought about like getting like into the fish hobby as like a extreme hobbyist or whatever. It had fake plants, and then I found Aquarium Co-op's channel, and I bought a Nubius Nana and a Java Fern. So first plants I bought. I still have the Nubius. It's in the 75-gallon goldfish tank because I put plants in there with my cichlids. Didn't know the cichlids would destroy them. And one Anubias made it, and it's still in there. It's still Nana. It's tiny. It's low light. It's a 75 with a night crew LED light, which on a 75 it's not very strong. It lights up good. It's just the par level is not high enough, I don't think, to really thrive a bunch of plants. My jungle val wouldn't grow in the 75 under that light. But yeah, Java Fern is a plant that I just have bad luck with. But it might be something I try to reinvest some time into and get them going. But Anubias and Christmas moss is that's my jam. I grow those without any issues. These swords have really taken off. When I pulled that one out to sell to TJ, the root system on it was doing super fantastic. It pulled a bunch of sand with it. It was really grabbing on. So yeah, they're doing really, really good in there. But I'm thinking the the swords are going to get moved to a corner. So they're going to be like, let's say over here, and then I'm going to do like a scape around it and maybe scape it down, and then have a little bit of an open swimming area on the other side. That's kind of one idea I got. I wish I had more rock right now. I have a bunch of lava rock, but I don't want to do a lava rock in this tank. I use a lava rock in my shrimp tanks, so I have bags of it. But I think I need to go back to the supplier down the road and go picking for some rocks. Mickey said, saw the notification about your plants arriving. Nice. Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm a little excited with that. Texas Fishroom said, I need to rescape my L144 tank. The plecos I got from you have taken out all but the swords. The plecos in here, I mean, I don't know what you guys can see. Let me see. I don't know where my finger's at. There's actually a super red on that sword right there, if you guys can see it or not. They chill on it, but they don't destroy the swords. They leave them alone. You know what? I didn't even think about that with as far as other plants in there. If they'll, oh, crap, because there's super reds and the brilliant nose in there, so that might be an issue as far as plants. I might have to stick with the hardier plants. Anubias, I don't know. I feel like I'm really good with Anubias, so I'll probably just use a lot of Anubias in the mid-range. Yeah, because those plecas are not going to get rehomed to another tank. They're going, that's their tank. Because what I want to do is put those caves like built into the scape. So have them like rocks piled on it. So let's say that there's a rock pile. I don't know which side I'm starting with, but let's say there's a rock pile and it starts kind of high and then kind of tapers down. I want those caves like in those rocks. Because they love those caves. I mean, they're all, I can see right here, every single cave's got a pleco in it. Let me close this. Get back in the chat. Another plant that's good that I started with is Pogostemon stellatus octopus. It's a stem plant in my no-filter aquarium. That thing took off. I had no issues with it, constantly trimming it. I accidentally uprooted it like 6 months ago, and it's been floating. And with it floating, it hates it, and it is dying off. So I really need to replant it to get that plant going again, because it's looking a little pathetic right now. Oh, Chevy Fish with all the tags. Really's here. What's going on? Oh man, my chat just jumped. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Moving. I'm probably missing some of the side chat. Of course, plant-eating fish, snails, or other at RB animals. So I think I missed, like, I don't know if RB had a question. And then I'm pro snails. Like, this tank, super clean because it's got plecos in it. But all the other tanks, if I can, they got ram's horns in them. I don't, if there's snails in that tank, I don't ever have to clean them. As far as like scraping the tank, that's the best thing about snails is they scrape the glass for you. Alright, cool, she got down. Trying to scroll through and see if there's anything crazy. John said, did you take drone video of the flood? So actually, I can't fly the drone here. I'm like not even like, all right, so maybe a mile from Port Columbus International Airport, um, and it's a no-fly zone. So when with DJI, when you open the drone app, there's a little Google Maps icon. You click it, it shows where you are, and it shows all the no-fly zones. And it'll show no-fly zone and restricted zones. So there's some places in the airport's vicinity that you can fly, but they tell you your height limit. So on the ingoing and outgoing paths of the runways, when you're real close to the airport, it might say you're limited to 50 feet. And then as you get further away, you might be limited to 100 feet, 200 feet, so on. I'm like super close to the airport to where it's just a no-fly zone. To actually fly the drone here at my house, you have to basically apply for like permission. I don't know how easy or how hard that is. I honestly didn't look into it. I wanted to fly the drone here just to mess with the dogs. But so yeah, I can't even fly the drone here. It'd be cool because when I break down the pond, I thought about the other day, I wish I could have the drone like 15 feet up looking down, so that way I could have like a second camera angle as I'm working. So maybe I'll look into getting that pass. I think it's like a 48-hour pass that like somehow it unlocks your drone for like 48 hours or something. I gotta read into it more. John said, if you ever use solenoids to automate turning on and off the water, make sure you shut off the valve when you're done with the water, because solenoid switches fail over time. Yeah, so what I actually want to do is run a dual solenoid system. Basically redundancy. So I work on cars. Cars have solenoids. They can stick open. They can stick close. So on a fill system, on a water change system, I'm not that concerned with them if they stuck open. Be like, all right, so I end up doing like an 80% water change instead of a 20%. Less of an issue than if I'm filling up a reservoir and they stick open, then basically house water pressure is just constantly dumping to the floor. So basically what I want to do is run two of them spaced out, so that way you don't have that hammering effect when the valve shuts. Basically shut off the one closest to the supply, and then further down the line shut that one off. So if one of them fails, there hopefully is the second one, and then that's something I would have to monitor. You know, put that on like a maintenance list of maybe every 6 months. Turn off the first valve but leave the second one on. Technically no water should be coming out. If water's coming out, then I know the first one's leaking. And vice versa. I can leave the first one on, turn off the second one. If water's coming out, then I know the second one's leaking. And, you know, just a periodic checklist, if you will. So yeah, I want two valves as a redundancy. And then also I could even put a float valve on it as a third item to keep from flooding. So two should help eliminate the pressure, and if they both stick a little bit open, a float valve will be able to shut it off completely once the tank's completely full, which I need to do anyways, so that way, yeah, everything will be good. So float valves and solenoids. William Jansen said, leave the plants be. They melt down at first, then regrow. Leave it if needed at first. Yes, I've done, there's a tip video. It's like a 3-minute video, if that, about melting plants. Anytime that you move plants, even I have moved plants that have been growing. Let's say this plant is doing super awesome. If I move this to another tank, it's possible that this plant stresses out and it will melt. I got an Anubias in my emerald green quarry tank that was thriving. I put it in there and it completely died. Like, looked like 100%. And then last week I noticed there's a little sprout coming up that's green. And I just let it sit there and die, and now it's starting to come back. So anytime you move plants or buy plants, even if they die, just kind of let them go, and you'll be surprised at what comes back. Starting fish room build. Okay, so Chevy Fish, thank you. Got the link. I totally forgot. I was going to post the link and I forgot. That's how I end up flooding the fish room, guys. I just forget. What is a I hate stupid people said, what is a good tank equipment wash to keep from cross-contamination of tanks? So a lot of people like use bleach. I've only ever used bleach once, and that's when I converted a saltwater tank to a freshwater tank. I sold off the saltwater fish and like snails and crabs, and then that water actually sat for like a month, and it started growing some algae, and the tank was just nasty, and I ended up using bleach. Now, to keep from cross-contaminating, the biggest thing for me would be like fish nets. So going from like the import tanks to my seasoned tanks, you can use hydrogen peroxide, but I use vinegar because it's cheap. You can get like a gallon size of it at like any grocery store, and that's what I use. And I believe vinegar is also what Flip Aquatics use, and I think that's how I started using it, because Flip Aquatic used it on all their shrimp nets, and so that's why I started using it. My chat jumped again. So the problem, so if you guys don't know, the chat, like I'm scrolling the chat so that way I can keep where I'm at with like questions, and then all of a sudden it goes straight to the bottom. So then you gotta scroll back up. Like, they need a hold function. YouTube, if you're listening, add a hold function. RB said, thanks for the tips. If you got any questions, you can always send me an email, sales@614fish.com. You can also find the SC Aquatics Facebook page and use the like instant messenger feature through there and send me a message if you have any questions. I try to get back when I can, but I'm usually pretty quick with responding. RB said, I can't fly a drone where I'm at because it's a fly zone for Fort Bragg. Yep. That's basically what I got, is just a public airport. Mr. Fisher said at SC, how about putting an RV water reduction on mainline like they do for campers? I'm let me Google that. Is that like is that for like lowering pressure? RV water line reduction? I'm not exactly sure, but a lot of stuff saying about water flow and pressure. So that's a thing. But the water that I'm currently I'm using, it's all on a ball valve. So that's basically the same thing. I just, I can open it full flow to fill up that drum that I have right now quicker, or I can since the ball valve, I can just barely open it, and that reduces the flow and pressure too. So, I can limit. My pressure's not really, I don't think it's extremely high here. I don't know what the pressure is, but I've been to houses where it's like, wow, like your shower actually like stings, like from the pressure. I have good pressure. It's just I don't think it's like extremely high. So I don't think it'd be an issue with the solenoids. And those solenoids, some of them are rated like 300 psi working pressure. And I know my house is not even, what's a house? 60 to 80? 40? Maybe it's 40 psi. I know it's under 100 here. IHSP said I usually use vinegar. Chevy Fish also uses vinegar. IHSP said I had a bad case of ick pop up on the 10-gallon neon Tetra tank. So I'm guessing you took everything out of that tank. You want to, like, if you're trying to nuke the tank, if it's a completely bare tank, you can use some bleach. I don't know how vinegar would do with like ick. But the other thing is, if the tank's empty, you can leave it empty for like 2 weeks if you want, and any kind of ick spores would be dead by then anyways, because I think they're only on I think it's a 2-week cycle. But yeah, I've used bleach before. I used it in my, like I said, my saltwater tank. I basically cleaned the tank. I filled it all the way up to max capacity with water, added bleach, and I think I even ran the pump to circulate through like the plumbing section. And then I think I ran it for a few hours, and then I drained it, filled it, and I drained and filled it like 6 times. And then I was so paranoid about having bleach in there, when I filled up the tank, I put water conditioner in it, and then I let it run for like 2 weeks before I even like started messing with the tank. Mickey said, thanks for the video about the battery charger. Good info. You're welcome. I wish like I would have gotten the bigger charger out, which I can't find it. It might be in my truck, but he's talking about this guy. I had it sitting here still. But this is a really small one, the comments. So this was like 5,200, I think. 5,200 milliamps. And some of the comments on the videos, people have said that the ones they buy for this whole situation, using these as backup if your power goes out. Some people are saying that they have like 22,000. I think it was like 22,000 milliamp, which is, 4 times as powerful as this. I can't remember names off the top of my head of who commented what, because I still get comments even on old videos. So I try to respond to comments as best as possible. Sometimes if I don't respond, I at least hit the like button. So if you guys ever comment on my videos and you see I liked it but I didn't respond, that means I at least read it. Maybe I didn't have something to comment back with, or if it's just like you guys saying like, hey, that was a good video, I might just hit the like button. So it means I read it. Anyways, somebody posted that their battery bank lasts like 3.5 days. I don't know if it's, I can't remember if they mentioned if it was a nano pump, if it was only 1 nano pump, or if it was whatever it was. But testing this little guy, ran one of these box filters for almost 17 hours. But I kind of want to revisit that with a bigger power solution. But in the garage, I'll probably, haven't really thought about it, but like right off the top of my head, I'm thinking those power bank backups that are for your computers. It's basically just a battery, and that when your power goes out, it's got an inverter so it can power 120. One of those, let's say if it can power a computer for an hour or however long they're rated for, would power one of these for a very long time. And that would be something super easy if you're not super technical. It's just got outlets in it, so you could plug a power strip that would run a bunch of USB air pumps off of it, or even a regular air pump. I guess a regular air pump would work. But I'm thinking like probably saltwater people probably use those, because I'm on a couple of saltwater group pages, and somebody posted this angelfish that was like $3,800, and they said that was a good deal. So $3,800 for one fish, and it was a dwarf species, so it's not like a massive fish. So when you got people that have $100,000 worth of fish, which that's a thing. There's this guy, I think his name's Andrew Sanders or something like that. He's got a massive, massive fish tank in his house. It's I don't know him that well. I just seen some of his posts on one of the pages. I can't remember the size of his tank. I don't know if it's like 25,000 gallons. It's huge. It's like floor to ceiling, massive, and it's even like sunk. It's sunk down to its floor a little bit. So like when you walk in, like it must be like in the lower level of his house. But like when you walk into it, you see this tank that's huge, floor to ceiling. But once you get up to glass, you're actually looking down into the tank too, because it goes into the floor. And I couldn't imagine how much money he's got wrapped up in that system, because he's got a whole fish room behind it that's got a bunch of quarantine tanks just for this big display tank. And it looks like you're at a zoo. He's got massive skimmers, like floor to ceiling skimmers, and it's full computer automated. It's got like a display screen, and it shows diagrams of where the water is currently flowing through, like which heater or which protein skimmer, which pump's outputting how much flow. It's crazy. Like saltwater, like I've had one saltwater tank, so that's my only experience. I would love the mechanical side of doing a big system like that, like doing all the plumbing. That's what I enjoy. But the maintaining of testing, like when you get into corals, you're testing, how we test like ammonia, nitrate. Sometimes people test like phosphorus for plants, but they start testing like 100 different points of water quality of what's in the water, and that's to target specific corals. Saltwater it's awesome, but man, it gets intense. And then also, guys, if you have a question, and if you don't know this, if you type the @ symbol and then start typing like SC, it'll pull up a person. It could be for anybody. Like if you want to talk to Mickey, you could type @ and then hit M, and it'll pop up anybody with the M name. What it does is it highlights their name in the chat for that person. So anybody that tags me, it comes up orange, and I can easily tell that somebody's talking to me. So if you guys do have questions, try to do the @ and tag me. I know if you're on a mobile phone, I don't think it works on a mobile phone, unless you maybe have to actually type it all the way out. But try to tag me if you can. But yeah. Sean Borden said, "Why you flood your own house and blaming other people, man?" So I'm not blaming OFR. I'm saying, it's a catch line. So while watching OFR, I flooded my fish room. So I'm not blaming them. If you watch OFR, then I'm really good friends with them. So I'm up there all the time. It's just that's a hot title. So people are like, "Oh, like what did OFR do?" And then you're like, "Oh, Steven was stupid and flooded his fish room while watching OFR." I just got really into the OFR live stream, and that's where the title came from. I literally set this live stream up during their live stream, so it was fitting. That's all that means. Everybody knows that I have zero at all hate towards OFR. It's just a catchy title. That's all it means. Do killifish video. I have to check it out. Brad at Mr. Fish Sir. Gardener Eye Killie. So my Gardener Eye Killies, which I've had for a long time, they're at the end of their life cycle. And I knew killifish, depending on what species, have a life cycle of only how long they last or live. And I always wonder, like, what happens? They just die? At least with my Gardener Eye, maybe they have something wrong. but I'm pretty sure they're just ending, getting close to their end. But they look like an old fish. You know, they're just not vibrant anymore. They've been in their own tank for, I don't know how long I've had them, a year and a half now. So it's not like they're pulling a disease from somewhere. They're just looking like old fish. Do. Sean Borden said, unsubscribed, goodbye. Well, see you, bud. I'm like, I guess you got a little upset about the title. Sorry about that. I mean, it is what it is. It's sorry. Didn't mean to upset you, but whatever. Let's see what else. William Jansen says, to clean my nets, I boil up water, drop the nets in for a few minutes, never had an issue. Yep, that's another good thing, or another easy way to clean stuff is boiling water. A lot of people do that with decorations. If you get new decorations, you want to make sure they're sterile. For whatever reason, they were handled somewhere. You gotta be careful with a lot of decorations at stores aren't packaged. Like, I'm thinking of like those castles and logs and that kind of stuff, those skulls. You never know who's touching that stuff at the store. And it's not just at the store. You got everyone from the manufacturer to a wholesaler to a distributor to the stocking room to employees putting it on the floor and then all the customers. So you should always, if it's definitely not in a package, you should always boil it anyways. But that also goes with if you pull out rocks from nature, like say you got a rock in your backyard and you want to use it, you can boil it to kill off anything that could be on it. Same thing with like driftwood. You can even do it to like botanicals. It also helps that stuff to sink. You're killing off anything that could be on it. You know, if you grab leaves from outside, maybe it had pesticides on it, you know, you're boiling that off, but you're also helping that stuff absorb water and sink. Mickey said, "No worries, Stevens. You can't. No worries, Steven. You can't answer every comment. I try to. I mean, I try to do what I can. You can use AC/DC pumps. Do AC/DC pumps. If you're talking about in the fish room, I could. I use actually DC pumps now. The outdoor pond's on a DC pump, and then Rack System 2 is on a DC pump as well. Farrell's Fish Room just got off. What's the damage? Farrell, luckily I've flooded my fish room enough now that overall damage is just time lost. I'm pretty good at cleaning up water at this point. But basically, long story short, I started filling up a bucket, and I got involved in the overall live chat, talking to everybody, and I forgot I was filling up the bucket, and drained 40 to 50 gallons of water on the floor. Mr. Fisher said, I try to leave a comment, even if it's short, to help with the YouTube magic antics. So don't expect to get comments. On those. Hey, like, Mr. Fisher, I appreciate those. I just go off of what, like, everybody else says, like, comments and likes and all that stuff helps. I don't know the magic behind it. To me, the subscriber count is what helps, because I think that's, you know, they're like, hey, like, this channel is growing, like, let's push people to watch his content. But I'm assuming there must be something behind it, because I noticed that Aquarium Co-op was doing, like, the giveaways, like, you like, comment, subscribe, or whatever, or share, I forget what it was. They were giving stuff away. So that stuff must help in some way or form. So even if you just comment, thanks for the video, like, I appreciate it. Mr. Fisher said, I had to type it all the way out on Android phone. Yeah, I know on computer it kind of like auto does it for you, and I know on my iPhone it doesn't auto do it, so I don't worry about trying to type it out. Um, Bruce Dickey says, "What do you think about refugium for freshwater? I have a 10-gallon under my 55. Um, why not? I run. So basically, Rack System 2 is a big sump system. So the bottom, I'm basically running all plants to help with pulling nitrates out. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. Rack System 2, it's like a complex filtration system. It's got a little bit of everything in it. So the top row, which would be the first tanks that get water, those all have Matten filters. So there's a mechanical filtration and a biological filtration before the water leaves the 10 gallons. Those tanks dump down into 20 longs, and those are all biological filtration. They all are heavily planted. There's no mechanical filtration, although being planted and the water's flowing front to back of the tanks, some debris will build up, and then the water leaves there, and it goes like tank to tank, tank to tank. Well, they all those drain into one, and that goes through basically like a wet dry filtration. I have drawers. I use like a cubby drawer box, and it's got filter floss in it, so the water trickles down. It's a trickle tower, I guess. Water trickles down through this box, and then it basically all collects into a 20 at the bottom of the rack, which is like a sump. And then there's 520 longs that are all connected in a flow-through system pattern. So one tank has like an outlet on one end, and it comes out of the tank, goes to the next tank. The water flows through that, goes out the back of that tank, in the back of the next tank, flows forward. So it kind of does a serpentine like this through each tank. And the very last tank has a Matten filter in it as a final mechanical and biological before it hits the pump to start the cycle over. But that whole bottom row was all plants. Now I did lose a lot due to the cichlid. The convicts I had, they killed a lot of stuff, but since I got rid of all those guys, the plants are coming back, and with all these new plants I'll be able to bounce back and really get stuff growing. But that system it grows plants really well. Because you can heavily stock it, and it's got a large water volume and tons of plants and biological filtration. So nitrates can get high. When I added the convicts, I added like 150 convicts to the system, and then they were breeding, and then they ate the plants, so my nitrates were going up, so I was doing more water changes than normal. But when the system's happy, I just do water top-offs, just due to evaporation. I don't actually have to like change the water out. RB Animal says, "What's your biggest tank you have?" The biggest tank I have is my 75, which is the like goldfish community tank. My biggest water would be the 500-gallon pond out back. There's the 500-gallon pond out back, which it's an above ground. It's a pool. It's a pool pond. That's for my guppies. And then indoors, I don't remember the gallons on it. I built a plywood pond indoors. That would, I'm guessing, is maybe 75 gallons or 100 gallons. I don't remember. I'm sure when I built it, I did the math to figure out how many gallons. I don't know what it is now. It's been so long. But that's something I need to revisit, because it was a plant grow out basically pond. It's real shallow. It's like a frag tank, right? Real shallow with a shop light above it to grow out plants. Some duckweed got into it, and now it's just a duckweed farm. So I really need to like reset that. I need to drain it and take it outside and hit it with a garden hose and get all the duckweed out of it, and then redo it, because it was growing plants like extremely well. But there's shrimp in there now, so I bought some shrimp off a local hobbyist a while ago, and I just put them in there to help keep the plants clean. and totally like neglected them. Never like fed the pond with like food, right? And but it's such a large footprint, and so many plants were in it. There's a ton of hornwort in it. There's so much like biofilm and plant material that's decaying in there for the shrimp to eat, that when I was in there for TJ getting the swords, I was looking for swords in there. Well, it's covered in duckweed, so I can't see what's in there. So you got to kind of like push the duckweed aside and look. I'm like, all right, there's a sword. Well, I saw shrimp in there, so like there's still shrimp in there. So I kind of need to get back on that and see what's actually in there, because who knows? I mean, it could be 5 shrimp or it could be 1,000 shrimp. I don't know. Being that I'm not feeding them anything specific, I doubt that it's like overran with like a ton of shrimp, which would be awesome. But there's definitely shrimp in there. Mr. Fisher said, I'm just learning about the Gardner Eye killifish, but I think I read there about a 2-year fish. Yeah, I'm guessing I'm coming up on the 2-year mark, because it's the first time I've had a fish that looks old. Like I've had fish die, and they just die. They just look like they're getting old. Like, I don't know how to describe it. They just, like, you know how like a person gets gray hair, and like you look at them, you're like, oh, you're getting old. Not because of gray hair, because there's young people with gray hair, but like an old person. Well, it just looks like an old fish. So I feel like they're getting to the end of their life cycle. And I had bought 3 females and a male, and my goal was to breed them. But my male, and it's a matin filter tank, rack system ones, all matin filters. And I had lid because I knew they jumped. Well, this sucker jumped and got between the lid and the matin filter, like in the smallest gap, like overnight. So the next day when I went to go feed, he was dead. He got stuck up in the lid and filter. So I lost my male. I mean, I had the male for a couple months, but I ended up losing them, and then basically the females had just been living their best life in that tank with, getting fed bloodworms and brine shrimp, and it's planted. There's plants in there. It's not like overgrown with plants, but there's jungle val and I think dwarf sagittaria and maybe Anubias in that tank. But I know definitely jungle val, because that was one of my first tanks I put jungle val in. Oh man, everybody's tagging, because now I got a bunch of red or orange tags. Where'd he go? Mickey says, maybe do a video of the same test for a tank with a hang-on back or small inner filter too. If you're talking about, are you talking about battery backup? This is just USB, so this wouldn't work with anything other than like those nano filters. But I could always get like the if you're talking about like the battery backup for a computer, I could definitely do that with like a hang-on back, or shoot, I can even try it with the canister filter. There is a Cascade filter running on this tank. Did I already answer that question? Because now, like, I'm seeing other questions that I'm pretty sure I've already answered. My chat's all over the place, sorry. I like the video live from Ohio Fish Rescue. Yeah, I try to go live when I can. As you guys know, as they mentioned in their live stream tonight, when people go up there, it's like, I won't say vacation, but you're hanging out with your friends, Big Rich and Josh. So there is drinking involved. So sometimes it's not appropriate for me to go live, because people that are there visiting might not want to be on a live stream, or they might not want to be on a live stream while they're feeling really good with the alcohol beverages. So I have to pick when I go live, and that's not OFR saying like don't go live. That's me. I don't want to put drunk people on a live stream, or because maybe if I was drunk, maybe I wouldn't appreciate that. But I don't know, I feel like I'm a happy person when I'm drinking. But I try to go live when I can. It just sucks because my internet sucks there. Even being outdoors, it looked like the quality wasn't that good. So I don't know. I try to go live when I can. IHSP said, "What are the general measurements for it? I'll find the volume for you." I think it's like 5 foot by 3 foot by. Oh, how tall is it? A foot? I think it's a foot by 5 feet by 3 feet, somewhere around there. So maybe 50 gallons. I don't know, somewhere around there. Fish and Shrimp by Rich. Have you talked to OFR about security for the new koi pond? So if you're the koi pond in the back, so they are gating off the property, as far as I know, and there is some security measures being put in. If you're talking about like when the koi fish from the front pond got stolen, seems like it's been forever ago. That terrible thing. If you guys don't know, somebody came in the middle of the night and stole all the koi. Well, not all, most of them, almost all of them from the front pond. Some koi made it because there were caves in that pond they were hiding, but I want to cuss right now, but crappy people stole from them. Super crappy. So that won't happen again because they are doing some security things to prevent that this time. And they, since then, their camera system, Big Rich mentioned it, I think, in one of the videos about the cameras. They got cameras in the house, outside the house, around the house, and Big Rich, ever since that whole koi incident, he's like the security guard. He's on it to know when people are at the house and what they're doing there, because it's just shitty that people would do that, and they don't want to see that happen again. So they definitely are doing some things, and I don't want to mention what they're doing, and I'm sure they're doing things that I don't even know about. And obviously, when you get into security stuff like that, you don't want to tell people all this stuff you're doing. Like I told you guys, I have a security system, and I have cameras, but I don't tell you exactly where my cameras are placed for that reason, because it doesn't make sense to tell people that. Like I have motion sensors in my house on my security system, but I'm not telling you where they are. You know, stuff like that. But yes, they are doing preventative measures for that, and I doubt they'll even. Well, I don't doubt it. Maybe they'll mention it, but they shouldn't. I guess that'd be the thing to say, is they shouldn't mention what they're doing. But yeah, hope that answered the question. Mickey said, if you keep some really tight entrance caves, you can breed pistos in the tank behind you as well as the other fishes. But rainbows will eat a pisto fry, plus the pistos eat rainbow eggs. Yeah, so I kind of want to. It sucks because I want to change the tank up, but this color, like I'm looking at my so on my phone it's like 4K. It looks super awesome, but on the YouTube on my computer it doesn't. It looks like 720p to me. Could be my internet. This dude is so bright. Like, I need to take a picture, excuse me, and upload it so you guys can really see. This guy's orange makes the super reds look terrible. The super reds might as well be lemon plecos, because this Parkin Sonai is so orange. He's so awesome to watch, and they're so fun. Like they're so personable. They remind me of goldfish. Like as soon as I come in here, they swim and they watch, and like as soon as I grab some food, like they're ready for it. And this female, she got a fat belly on her. Oh, so I didn't top off the water tonight. You can see the evaporation. It's getting cooler. Now here, we actually have a freeze warning tonight. They said it could get down to 30. But since it's cooler, my AC is not running, which means the evaporation is kind of going down because the air is not as dry in the house. Even though like winter comes, the air outside gets drier. Anyways, typically like when middle of summer, this water level, so this is a week of evaporation, double that. That would be like, here's what I was topping off before live streams. And my reminder is the return for the Cascade filter is about like this height on the water. So once it drops to there, you just hear splashing. So that's how I know, like, all right, I need to top off that tank. But Pistos would be cool. Cooper Aquatics, how's it going? It's going good. Hope everything's going good with you. I have some guppies that are starting to look a little raggedy. I guess define raggedy. So with guppies, the biggest thing with guppies, I would say, well, the easiest thing to tell with guppies would be ick. But ick is pretty much I feel like for me is the easiest thing to like, oh, that fish has ick. Now with guppies, if guppies are starting to look, I guess raggedy, I would suspect an internal parasite. A lot of times it'd be called like live bear's disease. They can get worms. I would look into doing like a deworming or an internal parasite. You could run like Paracleanse, General Cure. I'm trying to think if I have anything else that I'd recommend for that. So General Cure or Paracleanse. I got some in stock, so that's what I was looking at. Run that and see if that helps. A good way for me to like identify live bear's disease is if the guppies start having like clamped fins, and like, you know how like a guppy looks full body and they're swimming straight. I feel like when they start getting live bear's disease, their rear tail starts kind of like going down a little bit, like it starts dragging, and they start looking real thin. Like, I don't want to say like necessarily looking thin like they lost a lot of weight, they just don't look right. And I don't know if that's how you're describing raggedy, but I would suggest running, if you got multiple fish looking like that. And the thing with parasites or worms with guppies is if one gets it, eventually they'll all get it, because what happens is if it's like a worm and they poop it out, well, guppies constantly eat off the ground, like off the substrate. Other guppies will eat that and then they get it, right? So it's like a never-ending cycle, so you need to treat the system. So if you got one that's got it, they'll all get it, so you gotta treat them. So like moving that one sick fish to a hospital tank is not going to do it. So to treat that for like worms, do the parasitic treatment and do a bunch of gravel vacuuming, because as those fish expel worms, you need a gravel vac to get anything out of the gravel so other fish don't eat it. So it's like water change, gravel vac. Well, you'll do your water change while you gravel vac, and then treat for parasitic ailment. Oh, let me see. John said UPS, uninterrupted power supply for computer backup. Yes, UPS. Chevy Fish, thanks for the 614fish.com. Filled to about 10 inches deep, you're looking at about 90-ish gallons. Okay, I was thinking like 75 was stuck in my head, but 90 sounds right. So filled to 10 is 93 gallons. If filled to 12 inch, it's 112. Okay, so that would be my biggest indoor volume as far as one container. I don't know if it's cheating with the flow-through rack since it's all one volume of water. That is 250 gallons. Is that right? 250 gallons is my flow-through rack. That's one water volume, but it's spread out over 15 tanks. Mickey said, "Thanks for streaming, Steven. Everyone lurking and sleeping, and then to the pub for a football, soccer, breakfast, derby match in 8 hours or so. Stay safe as you can, everyone." Mickey, thanks for hanging out with us. Have fun with your football/soccer breakfast derby. That's going to be a fun breakfast. Oh, so after that whole conversation, Mark said, at SC, I was alluding to the discussion about fish looking old. I should have been clearer on that. So Mark doesn't have an issue. He's just saying he's got some fish that are looking old and raggedy. I got you, Mark. I thought you were having an issue, but no. Yep, these Gardner eyes. I mean, I'm sure I bought them. I can't remember. It had to be 2 years ago when I started the fish room. That's before I got into like doing the SC Aquatics. So I think I bought those from Aquatic Arts. So they buy them from a farm overseas. So, they could be 3 months old by the time they get them. They could have been at Aquatic Arts for a month. Then I got them. So, I mean, they could be easily 2 years, if not 2.5 years old at this point. Chevy Fish said, "By chance, will you be stocking salty shrimp GH or GHKH plus?" So, is salty shrimp the Shrimp King one? Or salty shrimp the actual shrimp brand? Or product brand. I always get the Shrimp King one. Okay, no, it's separate. So there is the Shrimp King one, and then there's the Shrimp Mineral, salty shrimp. I would have to look into it. So I've been running some software. So this whole summer, I basically took a break from all the fish related stuff that's business-wise. I still sell, but as far as bringing in products, I stopped this whole summer. As you guys know, I got into like the horse thing with some new friends. I enjoy that a lot, met a lot of great people. But with this plant order and going up to OFR last weekend, doing the drone video, I got a lot of love from that drone video, so thank you guys. It's really like boost me back into the hobby. And I think what it was is I was getting burned out. I think between like working on cars all week, because that's, a 40-hour job, and then doing the fish thing, 8 hours, because my hour lunch break was always coming home doing the orders. That's 8 hours in those 40, and then coming home and like trying to do like content and business stuff. I enjoy doing the business stuff. I really do. And I enjoy editing videos, but like I just got burned out this summer, and then like with the idea of selling the house, that's when I was like, well, stop, no more business stuff, focus on selling the house. And so once I put the house on hold, like, all right, I'm rushing this is not what I want to do. I don't want to rush. I need to do it on my terms. So I'm getting back into all this stuff. So I still, it's like the motivation, like I want to do everything. The motivation is kind of lacking, like with getting stuff done that I need to get done. But like I do want to redo this room. I do want to get the fish room out into the garage. And it's just hard to stay motivated when there's so much like little stuff going on. But there is a lot of stuff I want to do. I do want to downsize the tanks that are in the house. So the Fluval 25, I want to sell that. That Barbados Cory tank, which is that like 10-gallon bow front, I want to sell that. I have the Aquatop Nano Cube tank in here. I may sell it. I don't know. Like right now, it's just got some plants and some snails in it. I might move that red beta that's in with the emerald green cories, move it into here, and have my beta tank back. But I want to redo this. I want to have like live backgrounds like this, and maybe find another one of these 55s, and I could have like 2 of them side by side. It will look pretty cool. But as far as, sorry, I'm getting off topic. So as far as products, I don't think I've seen salty shrimp on my wholesaler list. So I have like 3 main wholesalers I use for products, and the reason I have 3 is because each one has a different specific product I want. So my main wholesaler that I use doesn't sell Fluval lights. So I have one wholesaler that sells Fluval lights. I can't buy direct from Fluval because I'm not a brick and mortar store. They will only sell to a brick and mortar store. So I have to use a wholesaler. Well, since that wholesaler doesn't sell the 3.0 lights, I've used this one. Well, these 2 guys don't sell the Sarah Foods that I love. So then I have a 3rd wholesaler that does that. And every wholesaler, their pricing's similar, but some are better than the others on certain products. And what I learned is with e-commerce, it's a vicious, vicious way to try to sell retail stuff. So, like, these things are, I forget how much these are. I don't know if they're like $30. They're expensive. Well, if you go to like an actual retail store, this thing might be like 35 bucks. Well, if you get on eBay, it might be like, all right, so that's a bad example. Let's say this thing's 40 bucks at a store, and it costs $30. Let's say my cost is 30 bucks, and it's 40 at the store. Well, eBay, somebody's selling this for $30.50. Because either they're buying huge volumes and they get it better, or they're paying 30 bucks just like I am, but they want that sale for 50 cents. And it's like impossible to sell stuff online because of that. Because everybody's like cutthroat. So then you have manufacturer advertised price. So like MAP. Which I actually got hit on, if you guys remember, with some of the Hikari foods. Which I put them on sale and I didn't realize my sale price was cheaper than I was allowed to sell them at. But let's say Sarah says, you have to sell this for 40 bucks. Well, I'm supposed to sell this for 40 bucks and I can't go cheaper. Well, there's people even with the MAP price will sell this thing for 20 bucks. I was trying to get rid of a bunch of Hikari foods, so I just went through the store and said, take 15% off all these things. Well, my pricing was already so cheap that once I took off another 15%, they're like, you can't do that. You can't sell that. They actually have like a bot that goes out and scans the internet for their products. They found 614fish.com, and it scanned and saw their product code and saw the price, and I got a no-no, and that's when they emailed me saying that I had to be approved through them reseller, even though like I buy the wholesale products just like everybody else, but they want me to sign up with them to be approved, and they want a percentage of all my sales after I already buy the product. And this is Sarah, so this is not them. This is Hikari. They want a percentage of all the sales, and they want to see my books every single month. And I was like, no. You do not need to see my whole business inside and out because I'm selling your $2 bag of fish food. I'm sorry, so I'm out. So I was going to respond to him like, the reason why it's so cheap is I can't sell this one product because everybody else is selling it so cheap on eBay. Go after those guys, right? Like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to move your product for you, but you got all these people selling on eBay and Walmart.com and whatever else for so cheap. It's impossible for me to sell because everybody's all about saving that 30 cents. If it's cheaper on eBay by 30 cents, they buy it on eBay. And that's just how the world works, you know. I get it. I'm the same way. I try to find a good deal. But, yeah, Hikari got on me about that. And because of that, I probably won't be bringing Hikari back. I still have Hikari products. There's certain ones that they're just really good products. The Massivore Delight's a really good product. The Fancy Guppy is a really good product. The Vibra Bites are super awesome. So if you guys don't know what the Vibra Bites are, they're basically, it's a fish food that it looks like bloodworms. So if you got a fish that you can't get onto like flake food or anything like other than like live bloodworms, try Vibra Bites. I know Dean uses Vibra Bites a lot on his wild caught fish because it emulates a bloodworm, and a lot of times I know he said like his discus, they're very picky when they're wild caught, eat them no problem. It's a good fish food, it really is. I was trying to think of what else. Hikari First Bites is pretty good, although I've been, my rainbow breeder got me to bring in some North Fin foods, and North Fin foods have always been expensive, but he swore by them, so I brought in some to try, and they're good food, and it's good to the point of where I think North Fin's going to replace my Hikari lineup. It costs me more money to get it, costs you more money to buy it. Like, we're not, you and myself are not winning in that situation, but it is a really good food. It just sucks that it is more expensive than like Hikari, but Hikari's a massive company, right? So I try to like split up. I try to get the best of each area, like the price point, what's the best in this price range. These catfish chips are really good. They really are. They're just super expensive. But I use them because, especially with these brilliant bristle nose, like that's a big project I need to get to be successful. So it's worth giving them really good stuff. These, if you guys don't know, have actual wood in the chips. That's why it's really good. That's another reason I like them. I did bring in the North Fin kelp wafers. I like those. I do have the Hikari algae wafers. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Hikari wafers because I don't know if it's just me, but it kind of makes my water all cloudy. So it's like they get too mushy too quickly. I don't know. But for ranking, this is like my number 1 wafer. And number 2 would be the North Fin. And then third would be the Hikari. But like I said, expensive to basically it's expensive to least expensive is how I like them. But if you're saving money, then Hikari, sure, it works. But yeah, where am I in the chat? I think my chat died. Either everybody stopped talking or my chat died. Anyways, I saw a notification for LRB, and we are at the hour-and-a-half mark. Holy cow, guys. The coffee. See, I gotta have coffee on Friday nights because it really gets me motivated, and especially when I have topics to talk about. Your guys' questions help me keep moving along, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. I think my chat's just screwy. Or maybe it's working. I don't know. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry to the guy I offended with my title, but it is what it is. And that's going to drive me nuts the rest of the night. Vinny's Aquatics did the whole title about how, what was it, like I hate or I don't like OFR or whatever. And even Big Rich talks about like how he likes Vinny Aquatics because he's like, it's not that I don't like OFR, I love OFR, however it went, It's just a catchy title. It's all about entertainment, and it's to grab your guys' attention. And it's not like I lied. OFR caused me to fly because I was watching OFR. It's just the title. But anyways, guys, I can rant about that forever. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next Friday. And if I get into anything fishy between then, I'll let you guys know. But see ya, and have a good weekend. Peace, love, chicken grease, whatever. See ya.